Good evening, fellow beings. I'm Kestrel Knotley, and today I'm going to show you how I do my makeup. I'm going to show you how I go from this to this. Before we get started though, I want to give a special shout out to our sponsor for this video, Monster Mart. Monster Mart offers you terrifying discounts on everyday items you use in your home, including makeup. What I love about these products is not only is the makeup itself absolutely fantastic, but the packaging is just otherworldly. All of the makeup that I use in this video is from Monster Mart. A special thanks to Mr. Bones for providing me with everything you'll see in this video. One more quick thing before we get started. This is just how I like to do my makeup, but it might not be suitable for everybody. So do what makes you feel spooky. Before we start, I like to take off my hat so I don't get it all makeup-y. Alright, and we're ready to begin. So when I start my makeup routine, I like to begin with my foundation. Foundation acts as well a foundation for the rest of your makeup. Today, I'm going to be using Monster Mart's Alluring Afterlife Foundation in color Swamp Green. Look at how adorable this container is. It's all purple and pink and cloud-like. Oh, just darling if you ask me. I'm going to use one of these large brushes here because I like to be very liberal with my makeup. This is also from Monster Mart. It came in one of those mixed bag packs for low price, but with brushes for like every need. As you can see, I have some spots on my face that are a little less pigmented than others, and that's just fine, but I'm going to use that foundation to fill in all these gaps and just even out my skin tone. Alright, so let's get started. Now, like I said, you can take a fairly big glob of this makeup, and you're just going to start applying it all over your face. So after I go over with a big brush, I do like to take a smaller brush, about this size here, just to go over any little bits that I've missed. It's especially good around your nose and mouth area. Now that that's finished, all you have to do is wait for it to dry. Now that the foundation has dried, it's time to move on to the revealer. Now, this is Monster Mart's Welcome to the Night revealer in shade number 13, which is Decomposing Pine Tree. Now this packaging is just the cutest. We've got some galaxy style colors going on, and at the bottom, all these little stars and this beautiful golden top. Just really lovely. Revealer is used to accentuate dark circles under your eyes, large pores, age spots, blemishes, just anything like that you want to give an extra pop to. Now myself, I'm going for a makeup look that says I'm 200 plus years old. I'm tired, I'm cranky, and I want everyone to leave me alone. Revealer is perfect to bring out all of my cranky undertones. I'm going to start with my under eye area. I'm going to get, again, a fairly large brush for this. And with this, I don't want to use too much makeup. So what I like to do is I get some on my brush, and you can buy those fancy blotting papers if you want. But me personally, I just use newsprint because I'm thrifty. So I have some newsprint here, and I'm just gonna dab my brush on it. Oh my gosh, I missed a sale at Monster Mart last week. Oh well, anyways. So you wanna dab your brush, and you want it to be fairly dry. And you're just gonna look at the spots that you want to accentuate. So I'm gonna start under my eyes here, and you're just gonna lightly brush that off. And it might not look like much at first, but after slow layering of this, it will really give you that dark look you want. I'm going to do the other eye. And you can always go back in for some more, just don't forget to blot it off. Now that I have my under eye bags looking how I want them, I'm going to move on to a slightly smaller brush. I'm going to choose this one here. And this is going to be used to accentuate my lovely wart here. I'm very proud of it. And I want it to be the first thing people see when they look at my face. Now this one, I'm not going to blot as much because I'm going to put it on fairly thick. Alright, now that I have that done, I'm going to take a look at my face and look for some of my deeper wrinkles and decide which of them I want to show up more. So let's have a look. Got some really nice ones at the side here I'd like to show, and maybe here. So you just kind of have to decide what you want to show up most. Oh, and don't forget to blot. And if you end up getting some on a little heavy, don't worry, just go back over it with your brush. It'll blend right in. Now that I've got all my dark spots and all my pores to a nice deep dark level, I'm going to let that dry and then move on to the next step. The next step is a 3-part process involving 3 different kinds of makeup. We'll just clean up our last makeup here. We'll just set that right there. Alright, so we need our 3 different kinds of makeup. We're going to grab Monster Mart's Journey to the Sea Genuine Squid Ink, and it's in color Jet Black. We're going to grab Monster Mart's Antique Blancher in color Crocodile Corpse. And we're going to grab Monster Mart's Snail Slime Liquid Oil Layer in color Cauldron Bubbles. So firstly, we're going to start with the Genuine Squid Ink. This is going to add more depth and dark undertones to my skin. And just look at this bottle. We've got the nice blue, it looks like water, we've got silver, like Monster Mart just does a wonderful job on their packaging. So we're gonna use that, and I'm going to use it around my under eye bags, around my wart. We're gonna use a little bit on the sides of my face just to contour that in. And yeah, so we're gonna start with that. And I'm going to use kind of a medium-sized brush like this. And here we go. So I'm going to grab a little bit, and same with the last one, we're going to use our blotting papers. We don't want to apply this too wet. So I'm going to start under my eyes very lightly and just very gently apply it. Now I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. Got one like this. And I'm going to use this to outline my wart here. I'm not going to blot this one. I'm just going to go very carefully and precisely around the wart. Now, I realize this might look extreme at first, but we're going to switch back to our blotting brush. And then we're going to just use this to blend it in. Alright, and one last look to see if I missed any areas. I think we're good. So now to just let that dry before we move on to our next step. Monster Marks Antique Blancher in Crocodile Corpse. Now, this will be mostly used on my cheeks to make them look as sharp as knives. So, for this brush, I'm going to choose a fairly large one. And we're going to take some makeup, and we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to use our blotting papers to blot it. We don't want to put it on too thick at first. It's best to work in layers, and that way you're not wasting any of your product. So you're going to find your cheekbones. Mine are pretty obvious. And you're just going to swipe up. And then you're going to fan that out and blend it all in. And you can go under your cheekbones a little as well. And I like to follow mine right to the corner here, just below my eye. Well, that's looking sharp. Alright, now that those are looking sharp and ready to go, we're going to quick let them dry, and then we'll be on to our next step. Monster Mart's Snail Slime Liquid Oil Layer. And this is in color Cauldron Bubbles. So what this does is it adds like a oily, greasy look to your face. It's really great. And the bottle also very cute. So, for this brush, I'm going to go a little smaller, maybe medium size we'll call it. And we're again going to use our blotting papers, and this is just a lovely color. And we're going to go over a few different places on my face. So, I'm going to do the insides of my eyes. We're going to do a little bit around my nose, and just above where I put the blancher. And this has a really nice shine to it. Alright, now we let that dry before we go on to our next step. We should clean up our bottles here. Alright, now that most of my face is all covered, we're going to move on to a special product that I like to use that you can only get at Monster Mart. And it is Monster Mart's Super Dry Wrinkle Enhancer. And this is in color Lead Oxide. So this is an absolute wondrous product. It adds at least 50 years to my face, at least. So I just love it. Now with this, I'm going to use a very big fluffy brush. And with this, you really need to blot because it's a very, very light colored pigment. So a little goes a long way on your face. So I'm going to get a very little amount of makeup. You can hardly see it. And we're going to dab, dab, dab. And then this you want to just brush super lightly. And I like to brush it all over the majority of my face. Don't worry about your brows. We'll go over those later with the brow makeup. And this makeup picks up every last wrinkle in your face. And don't be afraid to apply a lot of this in small layers. I'm not going to go too heavy over my eyelids because I'm going to be using eyeshadow later and I don't want to have to do more work there. Alright, let's take a look. Oh, that's at least 75 years if you ask me. At least. Well, I think that looks ghastly. Alright, now we wait for that to dry before we move on to our next step. Now we're on to what I call the fun parts. The eyes, the lips, and the brows. This is where you get to be more creative and let your own personality shine through. Today, I think I'll start with my brows. As you can see, I have very mean arches. I've worked for years shaping these into don't mess with me brows. Now, I like a very pronounced dark brow, so that's why today I'm going to use Monster Mart's Wolf Brows Brow Gel in color Soul Black. And this has an adorable gold embossed werewolf on the bottle. How cute is that? So, I'm going to get this open. Now, I start with a larger brush to get the majority of the area, and then I switch to a smaller brush for fine details. So let's see here. I think I'm going to use this one today. Let's take a look at those brows. All right. Now with this, don't be afraid to use a little bit more makeup than you normally would. I don't think I'm going to blot it. I'm just going to apply it because I want them to be very, very visible. Now that I have the majority of my brows filled in, I'm going to switch to a slightly smaller brush. And this will allow me to fill in all the details really close. Now that I'm looking suitably fierce and angry, I'm going to let this dry and then move on to the next step. It's time to move on to my favorite part, my eyes. But first, let's clean up some of the stuff we already have. So put the lid on our brow gel. Don't want that to dry out. And we'll put our super dry wrinkle enhancer back. Now, when you do your eyes, it's best to start with eyeshadow and then move on to the eyeliner. So I'm going to start today with this beautiful box. And it is Monster Mart's 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse eyeshadow palette. Look at how that gleams. Beautiful. And it's got cute little symbols for each one of the horsemen. Now, let's open her up. Ooh, look inside. Each one of the horsemen has a little square that shows you which color it is. And then down below we have the palettes. Now you might say, Kestrel, those palettes are empty. What are you doing? Well, now this is one of Monster Mart's exclusive patented products, the Magic Eyeshadow Palette. It only fills when you're ready to use it. That way you know your makeup is always fresh and ready to go. So we have 4 colors in this palette. We have Death, which is kind of a light green. We have Conquest, which is kind of a gray. We have War, which is kind of a red-brown. And we have Famine, which is a dark green. Lovely, lovely. Set this right here. So I think today I'm going to start with the color War, which is the red-brown color. And I'm going to grab a small kind of floofy brush. With this one, I am going to do a little bit of blotting because I want to start subtle and then work my way up. I'm going to start with the inside corner of my eye here, work all the way up. Now don't worry if it seems a little extreme at first because the other colors are lighter and will tone it down. And I like to bring my eyeshadow right up to my eyebrow to make it all blend nicely together. We're going to move on to our next eyeshadow color, which is Famine. Now, Famine is a lovely dark green. It's going to complement my skin really well. Again, I'm going to do a little bit of blotting so I can start more subtly and work my way up. I'm going to concentrate most of this to the outer edge of my eye because the next 2 colors will go on the inner edge of my eye. Just ghastly. So now it's time to move on to our color Conquest for our eyeshadow. I'm going to grab a small but fairly floofy brush again. And this one you'll want to dab quite a bit because it's a really light color and it's going to show up quite intensely. And you want to start low and work your way up. And I'm going to start on the inside corner of my eye again, working out, focusing mainly on the inner area of my eye. I think that looks horrific. So now we're ready for our last eyeshadow color, which again is Death. And I'm going to get a small, but again, floofy brush, one of my favorite kinds. And we're gonna do our dab again because this is a fairly light color and will show up very pronounced. Now Death is a lovely kind of pale gray green. One of my favorite colors in this whole palette. And I'm going to start on the inside corner of my eye and work my way out. And mostly just do the inner part, with just a little bit of blending towards the outside. This looks absolutely fantastic. Now that we're done with our eyeshadow, we're ready to move on to our eyeliner. Let's clean up our palette here. Perfect. Again, just take another look at this box. It's just adorable. Now it is time to move on to our eyeliner. Now today I'm going to use Monster Mart's Volcanic Ash Eyeliner. And it looks like a little volcano. Isn't that just ingenious? I absolutely adore it. So, let's get this open. And now for eyeliner, I want to use a very small brush. I have 3 different ones because I'm not really sure which one's going to work best. I haven't used this product before. So they're all thin. This one's just a little shorter and this one's a little thicker. So I'm going to start with the fairly thick one and we'll see how that goes. Now we don't want to dab this, we just want to put it on nice and thick, and I go around both the top eyelid and the bottom eyelid. Now, eyeliner helps add definition to your eye and draw the gaze towards your eye. You can also use it to kind of change the shape of your eye if you wanted, but I'm happy with the way my eyes are. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush to do the inner corner. And back to the thicker brush for the other eye. And again, switching to the thinner brush for the inner corner. That's looking amazing. Time to move on to the last and final steps, lips. But first, let's clean up some of our makeup here. I'm going to put the lid back on the Volcanic Ash eyeliner. And I no longer need a brush. So, for the lips, today I'm going to be using two different products because I'm feeling fancy. I'm going to be using Monster Mart's Liquid Shine Electric Eel Lipstick in color Graveyard Dirt. Look at how shiny and fancy this bottle is. I love it. And I'm also going to be using Monster Mart's Slime-ifying Lip Gloss in Mucus Pucus Green. Look at the drips coming down this bottle. Oh, love it. So, Monster Mart's Liquid Shine Electric Eel Lipstick is great for everyday wear, but if you're feeling fancy like me, you might want to just pump it up a bit with the Slime-ifying Lip Gloss. So we're going to start with the lipstick. And I'm going to use this nice sleek brush to start. Now with this, you don't need to dab too much because you want it to be quite visible. Don't worry if your nose gets a little in the way, that happens sometimes. We're just gonna let that set a bit and then we'll put on the lip gloss. We could leave it here. This is a great everyday kind of look, but if you're feeling fancy like me, we're gonna kick it up with our Mucus Pucus color, which is the Slime-ifying Lip Gloss in Mucus Pucus Green. Get that open. And I'm going to grab a little bit of a bigger brush for this one. And this one you can feel free to blot because we're just gonna do like a little light shine over top of the already placed lipstick. That's beautiful, shiny and sleek. So now we're ready for our beauty montage. Well, I hope you enjoyed my makeup tutorial. I know I sure did. I just want to say again, a special thanks to our sponsor for this video, Monster Mart. And the special thank you to Mr. Bones for providing everything I used in this video. Thanks, and have a wonderful evening.